Most riders hit a point where the wrong motorcycle does not just waste money, it wears you out. Maybe you have owned fast bikes, heavy tours, or machines that look perfect until maintenance bills or riding fatigue set in. Today, we are breaking down 17 motorcycles seasoned riders over 45 quietly buy. Instead, dependable, comfortable, and realistically under $6,000. Because the truth is, some of the smartest motorcycles ever built are hiding in the used market, and missing the right one could cost you thousands. Number 17, Kawasaki Ninja 1000. Big performance does not have to mean cramped knees and itching wrists. Sometimes it means finding a machine that still moves hard, but finally works with you instead of against you. That is exactly why the early Ninja 1000 opens this countdown. Introduced in the early 2010s, this was Kawasaki's answer to riders who loved leader bike strength but were finished pretending they enjoyed super sport ergonomics. At its heart sits a 1,043 cubic centimeter inline 4-tune for strong mid-range pull. It does not demand redline theatrics. Roll the throttle in 4th gear on an open highway, and it surges forward with calm authority. The chassis tells the real story. Higher bars, a seat you can actually live with. Wind protection that takes pressure off your chest at 70 miles per hour. You finish a 2-hour ride feeling awake, not punished. Ownership, proven Japanese durability. Broad parts support across the United States. Straightforward servicing. Early examples frequently surface around $6,000, putting serious capability within realistic reach. Riders over 45 do not buy this bike to prove anything. They buy it because it makes sense. If this is exactly the kind of real-world buying advice experienced riders deserve, hit that like button, drop a hype in the comments, and subscribe, because that is what tells us to keep hunting down motorcycles that actually make ownership easier, not more expensive. And what happens when comfort matters even more than horsepower? The next machine shifts the conversation entirely. Number 16, Suzuki V-Strom 650. Some motorcycles earn loyalty the loud way. The V-Strom 650 earns it quietly, one reliable mile at a time. For riders who have already owned the fast, flashy machines, this Suzuki represents something different: consistency. Built around a 645 cubic centimeter V-twin that has powered multiple Suzuki platforms for years, it delivers steady, usable torque without vibration or theatrics. Twist the throttle and it responds smoothly, not urgently. That calm nature is exactly what makes it easy to live with. Ergonomically, it fits the real world. Upright posture, wide leverage at the bars, a seat height that offers visibility without intimidation. In traffic, on back roads, or rolling at 70 miles per hour across open interstate, it remains composed and unintimidating. On today's used market, clean examples regularly trade between $3,500 and $5,900. Parts availability across the United States is strong, and maintenance is straightforward. Riders over 45 appreciate machines that reduce stress, not create it. The V-Strom 650 does exactly that. Yet some experienced riders begin wanting a little more excitement from the engine without sacrificing dependability. That desire pushes the search toward the next step forward, where comfort remains intact but enthusiasm quietly returns to the ride. Number 15, Yamaha FZ1. Some motorcycles remind you why you fell in love with riding in the first place. The Yamaha FZ1 does it without folding your knees into your chest. Born from Yamaha's superbike bloodline, but reshaped for the street, this machine carries a 998 cubic centimeter inline, 4-tune for broad, muscular drive. It does not beg to be wrung out. Roll it on from mid-range and it answers with a deep, confident surge that feels controlled rather than chaotic. The riding position seals the deal. Wide bars, a neutral spine, room to move. You get leader-class thrust without the wrist ache that used to come with it. 2 hours in the saddle feels like a ride, not a workout. Used values tell the smarter story. Clean second-generation examples regularly change hands between $3,800 and $5,900. That is serious engineering at a fraction of its original cost. Owners praise its durability and straightforward upkeep. Nothing exotic, nothing fragile. Riders over 45 see it clearly. Strong, comfortable, honest. However, extended highway miles reveal one compromise: wind exposure and touring fatigue over time. That realization leads riders toward the next chapter, where long-distance comfort becomes the primary design goal rather than a secondary benefit. Number 14, Honda ST1300. There is a difference between a motorcycle built to impress for an afternoon and one engineered to carry you across states without complaint. The Honda ST1300 belongs firmly in the second category. Powered by a 1,261 cubic centimeter V4, the ST delivers its strength with turbine-like smoothness. There is no sharp hit, no sudden spike, just a steady wave of acceleration that settles comfortably at highway speeds and stays there all day. At 75 miles per hour, it feels barely awake. The chassis reflects the same philosophy: substantial without feeling unwieldy, stable in crosswinds, predictable through long sweepers. Add generous wind protection in a broad saddle, and hours pass with surprising ease. Used examples regularly trade between $3,500 and $5,800, a remarkable figure considering this was once a premium touring platform. Shaft drive reduces routine upkeep, and Honda's long-term durability reputation follows this model closely. Riders over 45 appreciate machines that lower fatigue while raising confidence. The ST does both. Quick question for riders watching right now: have you ever owned a true long-distance touring bike like the ST1300? Or are you still searching for that one machine that makes full-day rides feel effortless? Share your experience down in the comments, because riders comparing these bikes are learning from real ownership stories, and your insight could help someone choose their next motorcycle wisely. Honda's ST1300 delivers legendary reliability and mile-leading stability that mature riders deeply respect. Still, size and running expenses can feel substantial for buyers hunting true value under a $6,000 ceiling, which is exactly why many riders begin looking toward the next machine. One promising premium touring comfort with a different ownership character altogether. Number 13, BMW R1150 RT. Here is where the conversation turns distinctly European. The BMW R1150 RT was not built to compete on price. It was built to carry riders across continents with composure. Time, however, has changed the math. Today, well-kept examples frequently trade between $3,000 and $5,500. That is a former premium touring machine now sitting comfortably inside our $6,000 ceiling. At its core is an 1,130 cubic centimeter AIR and oil-cooled boxer twin. The engine pulses with a deliberate rhythm, delivering torque low in the rear range and keeping weight carried down near your boots. Once underway, the balance feels natural, almost reassuring. The riding environment is unmistakably touring-focused. Broad seat, adjustable windscreen, relaxed reach to the bars. Long highway stretches become routine rather than tiring. Maintenance requires attentiveness, but these boxers are known for longevity when serviced properly. The owner community across the United States remains strong, and parts support continues. Riders over 45 appreciate machinery with character and purpose. The R1150 RT offers both. But for riders prioritizing straightforward maintenance and parts accessibility, complexity can become a concern over long ownership periods. That concern naturally redirects attention toward the next answer: a bike engineered to deliver massive capability with far simpler long-term upkeep. Number 12, Kawasaki Concours 14. There was a time when the Concours 14 sat near the top of the sport touring food chain. It was not a budget motorcycle, it was a statement: long-distance comfort fused with serious horsepower. Today it is something even more interesting: a high-end machine hiding in plain sight. Powered by a 1,352 cubic centimeter inline-4, adapted from the ZX14 platform, it delivers effortless thrust. Not frantic, not peaky, just a deep well of acceleration that feels almost locomotive once rolling. Yet the riding position tells a different story. Wide saddle, substantial wind protection, bars positioned to reduce strain across shoulders and wrists. On the interstate at 75 miles per hour, it feels planted, unhurried, secure. Early models regularly surface between $4,000 and $5,900. Shaft drive simplifies upkeep, and Kawasaki durability keeps long-term ownership realistic. Riders over 45 recognize this kind of value immediately. Big capability without modern price tags. The Concours 14 brings astonishing performance value, combining sport bike power with serious touring ability for bargain prices. Yet maneuvering a heavyweight machine in parking lots or daily situations can slowly wear on riders seeking effortless control. That challenge moves the spotlight to the next direction, where balance and confidence replace sheer mass. Number 11, Yamaha Super T&eacute. Some motorcycles have a way of quietly earning respect over the years, and the Yamaha Super T&eacute is exactly that kind of bike. Originally launched as a premium adventure tourer around 2012, it was built to cross continents with confidence, not just zip around town. Today, these early models have slid into the under $6,000 range, making them a surprising gem for experienced riders. Used examples from 2012 to 2014 typically sell between $4,800 and $6,000, depending on mileage and condition. Many come with touring accessories or crash protection, reflecting a history of practical use rather than showy riding. When new, this flagship adventure machine carried an MSRP of roughly $13,900 to $15,100, a huge gap that makes today's prices feel like a steal. Comfort is a standout. Upright ergonomics, wide handlebars, and relaxed foot positioning make long rides effortless. The parallel twin engine is known for longevity, and the shaft drive drastically reduces routine maintenance. Insurance remains reasonable, and parts are plentiful thanks to a dedicated owner network. For riders over 45, the Super T&eacute offers dependable, comfortable, and versatile adventure touring, the kind of bike that keeps giving year after year. If you have ever owned an adventure bike like the Super T&eacute or considered moving into one, what mattered most to you? Long-distance comfort, reliability, or the confidence to ride anywhere without worrying about breakdowns? Drop your experience in the comments, because riders comparing these used buys are looking for real ownership feedback, not brochure promises. The Super T&eacute excels in durability and go-anywhere confidence, making it a trusted companion for adventure-minded riders. But many owners ultimately spend far more time on pavement than dirt. That practical realization guides experienced buyers toward the next machine, optimized specifically for smooth road performance without unnecessary complexity. Number 10, Honda FJR1300 Interceptor. Now we reach a motorcycle that seasoned riders do not need introduced. The FJR1300 Interceptor earned its following the old-fashioned way by doing everything well for a very long time. At its core sits a 781 cubic centimeter V4, an engine layout Honda refined for decades. It does not explode with urgency. It builds speed with a smooth mechanical hum that feels composed at 70 miles per hour and alive when the road begins to bend. There is a polish to the way it delivers power, a refinement that never feels strained. The riding position strikes a thoughtful balance. You lean slightly forward, enough to feel connected, yet not so far that your wrists protest after an hour. The seat supports real distance. The fairing manages wind without turning the experience sterile. On today's used market, clean examples regularly trade between $3,500 and $6,000, roughly half of what they commanded new. Riders over 45 respect that equilibrium: performance without discomfort, durability without drama. Still, tightly packaged engineering can make routine servicing more involved than some value-focused owners prefer. That ownership reality pushes attention toward the next step ahead, where mechanical simplicity becomes one of the biggest long-term advantages. Number 9, Suzuki Bandit 1250S. Some motorcycles do not chase attention, they earn loyalty. The Bandit 1250S is one of those machines, a big, honest engine wrapped in straightforward engineering that has aged remarkably well. At the center sits a 1,255 cubic centimeter inline, 4-tuned for deep, accessible torque. You do not have to wring it out to feel it move. Roll the throttle at 3,000 RPM and it answers immediately, pulling with a thick, steady surge that feels made for real highways, not racetracks. The riding position reflects that same practicality. wide handlebars, a neutral seat height, a fairing that actually takes wind off your chest at 75 miles per hour. It is lively when the road twists, yet relaxed when the miles stretch out. Maintenance stays refreshingly predictable. The engine platform has proven durable across high-mile examples, parts remain affordable, and most independent shops know this bike inside and out. On today's used market, clean models frequently land between $3,000 and $6,000. Riders over 45 appreciate its lack of drama. Yet even strong all-rounders leave experienced buyers wondering whether true touring luxury can still exist within a disciplined used bike budget. That question carries us directly into the next contender, where comfort begins approaching premium territory without breaking the $6,000 rule. Number 8. Yamaha FJR1300. There is a moment in every rider's life when distance matters more than image. That is where the FJR1300 quietly earns its place. Early and mid-generation models from the 2003 through 2012 years have slipped into serious value territory. Clean, well-kept examples regularly appear between $4,000 and $6,000 if you shop carefully. Considering these machines originally carried price tags well north of $13,000, that depreciation works entirely in your favor. At its heart is a 1,298 cubic centimeter inline, 4-paired with shaft drive. The engine feels smooth and unhurried at highway pace, delivering steady roll-on strength without vibration creeping into the bars. The fairing offers genuine wind protection, and the adjustable screen lets you tailor airflow to your height. After 300 miles, you still feel composed. Reliability is a cornerstone here. High-mile examples are common, and routine maintenance remains straightforward. Riders over 45 value that calm endurance. If you are hunting for a used sport touring machine that balances comfort, reliability, and ownership ease, hit that like button, drop a hype, and subscribe. That is how we keep bringing detailed, rider-focused breakdowns for smart, seasoned buyers like you. The FJR1300 delivers outstanding long-distance comfort and highway authority, proving why veteran riders trust it for serious touring miles. But over time, some owners begin prioritizing simplicity over scale, especially when daily rides matter just as much as cross-state trips. That shift naturally guides attention toward the next machine, one built around efficiency, ease, and stress-free ownership rather than sheer touring dominance. Number 7. Honda n&eacute. Every once in a while, a motorcycle shows up that does not try to impress you in the parking lot. It wins you over 6 months later when you realize how easy it has been to live with. The NC750X is exactly that kind of machine. When new, it hovered near the $9,000 range. Today, early examples from the mid-2010s routinely trade between $4,000 and $6,000. That places it squarely in smart money territory for riders who value practicality over flash. The 745 cubic centimeter parallel twin is tuned for low-end pull, not headline horsepower. It lopes along at highway speed with a relaxed rhythm, rarely asking for a downshift. The upright bars and neutral seat height create a natural stance that feels stable at low speeds and steady on open roads. Then there is the storage compartment, where the fuel tank would normally sit. Large enough for a full-face helmet. For commuting or short trips, that feature alone changes daily ownership. Riders over 45 recognize it immediately. Efficient, durable, unintimidating. Yet experienced riders often reach a point where practicality alone is not enough. They want a motorcycle that feels rewarding every time the garage door opens. That desire moves the journey toward the next step forward, where character and timeless design begin to matter as much as efficiency. Number 6. Triumph Bonneville T100. Some motorcycles appeal to logic, others speak to memory. The Bonneville T100 manages to do both. When new, this model hovered near $11,000, depending on year and trim. Today, well-kept air-cooled versions from the mid-2000s through the mid-2010s frequently change hands between $4,000 and $6,000. That kind of depreciation turns a once premium purchase into a thoughtful opportunity. The earlier 865 cubic centimeter parallel twin delivers a steady, satisfying pulse. Not fast, but full of character. Later 900 cubic centimeter liquid cooled versions added smoother fueling while keeping the same approachable temperament. Either way, the power builds predictably, making back roads more enjoyable than intimidating. Ergonomics are refreshingly natural. Mid-mounted pegs, a broad handlebar, and a seat height just over 31 inches create a riding position that feels relaxed from the first mile. Around town, it is balanced. On the highway, it settles comfortably at cruising speed. Maintenance stays manageable, parts remain widely available, and insurance rarely shocks the wallet. Riders over 45 appreciate its authenticity without the headaches of vintage ownership. Still, retro styling can limit adaptability when riding conditions change or daily usability becomes the priority. That reality shifts focus toward the next direction, a motorcycle engineered to handle commuting, touring, and weekend escapes with equal confidence. Number 5. Kawasaki Versys 650. Now we are entering the territory where smart buyers start smiling quietly to themselves. The Kawasaki Versys 650 never needed flash to earn respect. It built its following the honest way through years of dependable miles and zero-drama ownership. When new recent versions sat just under $9,000. Today, clean examples from the late 2000s through the mid-2010s regularly change hands between roughly $3,500 and $5,800. That places it comfortably under our $6,000 ceiling with room to spare. But the real story begins once you swing a leg over it. The seating position is upright without feeling oversized. Wide handlebars offer natural leverage. The seat height gives you clear visibility in traffic, yet the overall weight stays manageable at parking lot speeds. For riders whose knees and lower backs have logged decades of experience, that balance matters. The 649 cubic centimeter parallel twin traces its roots to the Ninja platform, tuned here for smooth, predictable pull. It is not high-strung. Maintenance stays straightforward. Insurance remains reasonable. Fuel economy often lands in the mid-50s miles per gallon, which adds up over time. This is not a motorcycle you graduate from. It is one you grow comfortable trusting. It proves how lightweight handling and upright ergonomics can make ownership remarkably easy. But riders who spend increasing hours in the saddle sometimes begin wanting something more, greater isolation from fatigue, wind, and road strain. That search naturally leads to the next chapter, where comfort evolves from convenience into full touring luxury. Number 4. Honda Goldwing GL1300. There is a stage in riding where image quietly steps aside and intention takes over. The Honda Goldwing GL1300 was never about flash. It was built for riders who plan routes by horizon lines, not coffee stops. And for someone over 45 who understands what a long day in the saddle really means, that purpose changes everything. At its core sits a 1,832 cubic centimeter flat six designed for calm, unhurried strength. Power rolls in without vibration or drama. Heat management is controlled. The engine feels unstressed at highway pace, as if it expects the ride to continue for hours, because it was engineered to do exactly that. Longevity is not a rumor here. Properly maintained examples regularly pass 200,000 miles. Shaft drive removes chain maintenance from the equation. Service intervals are spaced for serious travel, not constant tinkering. On the road, the experience is almost disarming. The seating position supports your back instead of compressing it. Wind protection shields your shoulders. Yes, it weighs close to 900 pounds wet, but the mass sits low, and once rolling, the bike feels grounded rather than cumbersome. Now here is where experienced buyers lean in. When new, Goldwings lived well north of $24,000. Early 2001 through 2006 GL1800 models originally sold in the high teens and climbed beyond 19,000 as years passed. Today, high-mile examples, often showing 80,000 to well over 100,000 miles, routinely trade between $4,000 and $6,000, especially with documented service history. That is not a compromise. That is strategic depreciation, rewarding patience. The Goldwing represents peak touring comfort, delivering unmatched smoothness even years into ownership. Yet its physical size can feel excessive for riders who no longer want to wrestle heavyweight machines during everyday use. That realization pushes buyers toward the next answer, where enjoyment returns through lighter handling without sacrificing reliability. Number 3. Suzuki V-650. Now we step into one of the most quietly respected platforms ever produced. The Suzuki V650 did not earn loyalty through hype. It earned it through consistency. For more than 2 decades, this motorcycle has been the thinking rider's choice. Simple, balanced, and mechanically honest. When new early 2000 models lived in the mid-$6,000 range, later generations approached $8,000. Today, clean second-generation examples commonly trade between roughly $3,000 and $5,500. Even newer versions often slip just beneath our $6,000 ceiling. That is rare territory for a machine with this reputation. The magic starts with the 645 cubic centimeter V-Twin. It delivers usable torque right where you ride, without demanding high revs or constant shifting. It feels responsive without being abrupt, durable without being dull. In naked trim, the ergonomics are neutral and humane. Upright bars, mid-mounted pegs, a manageable seat height just over 30 inches. At roughly 430 pounds wet, it feels cooperative in parking lots and unintimidating in tight spaces. Ownership stays straightforward. Parts are affordable. The aftermarket is vast. Insurance typically remains moderate. This is not a motorcycle that overwhelms you. The SV650 remains one of motorcycling's most balanced and dependable platforms, combining manageable power with low ownership costs. Still, some seasoned riders begin wanting a calmer, more relaxed riding experience that reflects decades of riding maturity rather than sporty responsiveness. That preference moves attention toward the next step ahead, where classic standards deliver effortless torque and timeless comfort. Number 2, Yamaha XJR1300. This one speaks to riders who remember what a big air-cooled inline four is supposed to feel like. The Yamaha XJR1300 never chased technology trends. It leaned into torque, mechanical simplicity, and presence. And that restraint is exactly why experienced riders still search for clean examples. At its heart sits a 1,251 cubic centimeter AIR cooled inline four with deep mid-range strength. There are no complicated ride modes, no layers of electronic filters. Throttle response feels direct, mechanical, immediate. Later models gained fuel injection. Earlier ones ran carburetors, but the character remained the same. Broad torque and relaxed delivery. The riding position reflects that philosophy. Wide handlebars, neutral foot peg placement, a flat, supportive saddle around 31 inches from the ground. It feels substantial, yet balanced once underway, with a calm highway demeanor that seasoned riders value. When new in overseas markets, pricing often translated to roughly $11,000 to $13,000 in United States terms. Today, clean used examples commonly fall between $4,000 and $6,000 equivalent. It delivers nostalgia without vintage headaches. This large capacity standard captures everything riders over 45 admire: upright ergonomics, mechanical honesty, and proven durability. Before we reveal the ultimate overall value pick, the bike that quietly outperforms expectations across every category, if this countdown has been helping you rethink which motorcycles actually make sense for experienced riders, hit the like button. And if you want to support our channel even more and get early access to upcoming deep dive guides, become a member. This is how you ensure you never miss the bikes that deliver comfort, reliability, and affordability together. And even strong classics leave one final question unanswered. Which motorcycle delivers the best complete ownership equation: comfort, reliability, affordability, and everyday usability without compromise? That question brings us directly to the next and final machine. Number 1, Honda CB900F. This is the one that makes the most sense when emotion steps aside and experience takes the wheel. The Honda CB900F was never marketed as a halo bike. When it arrived in the early 2000s, it carried a price just under $8,000 and a simple mission: deliver real-world performance without unnecessary complication. 2 decades later, that mission is exactly why it rises to the top. On today's American used market, clean CB900F models commonly trade between $3,000 and $5,500. Even exceptionally well-kept examples rarely cross that $6,000 ceiling. For that money, you are buying a genuine leader-class standard with Honda engineering behind it. The riding position feels immediately natural. Handlebars fall comfortably to reach. Foot peg placement avoids knee strain. With a seat height a touch over 31 inches and weight that feels centered and manageable, it inspires confidence at low speeds and composure at highway pace. The 919 cubic centimeter inline 4, derived from Honda's earlier superbike architecture, but softened for longevity, is fuel-injected, under-stressed, and widely respected for durability. No ride modes, no electronic layers, just clean throttle response and predictable strength. It commutes easily, it tours lightly, it handles back roads with enthusiasm. It does everything well, without drama. And that is precisely why it wins. If this video helped you rethink what true value looks like after years in the saddle, do not stop here. Click the next video because we are continuing the road trip with motorcycles that owners refuse to sell once they find them. Ride smarter by joining our growing rider community, subscribe, and become part of the tribe.